Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another episode of Spiritual Midwife. In today's episode, we're going to be deep diving into the post-retrograde energies that we are still feeling, still navigating. If you've been sensing the echoes of this recent retrograde, then you're not alone. It was a potent one. And it seems to have stirred up some deeply buried aspects of our past. But here's the thing, it wasn't just any retrograde. It was one that brought a lot of old, unresolved issues to the surface, giving us a unique opportunity to revisit and reframe them. And that's what we're getting into today. Welcome to Spiritual Midwife, the podcast that tenderly guides you through the transformative journey of spiritual awakening and personal development towards the ultimate destination of soul sovereignty. I'm Claire Attio, a medicine woman and dedicated guide to the profound realm of soul sovereignty, and you are listening to Spiritual Midwife. Now, when I say revisit and reframe, I'm speaking from personal experience here. This past retrograde hit me in a way I truly hadn't expected. There were moments from my past, moments that I thought I had fully healed from, that suddenly reappeared in my consciousness. And these weren't just casual memories, these were heavy, challenging times that had once instilled a deep sense of fear in some aspects within me. Perhaps you can relate to this. Sometimes when you've gone and done all the work to release the fear, but the memories still hold some power over you, like shadows lurking just out of sight. That's what the retrograde brought forward for me and for many people that I have been speaking to, which is why we're doing this podcast today. I want to share some of those personal aspects with you, because during this past retrograde, a couple of those significant, difficult memories did resurface. At first, it was really unsettling. I'm not going to lie, it felt like I was being sucked back into a place I'd already moved beyond. But rather than getting caught up in the fear or the anger, I decided to approach these memories differently. I chose to put all the things that I've learned on my journey into action and to see what was going on, to view what was going on energetically with me as an opportunity, as an invitation to dig deeper, to understand them better, and ultimately to reframe them. And here's where it gets interesting, because I intuitively suspected that there were some dark energies at play during the retrograde, perhaps even dark magic, if we want to take ourselves there, that were intentionally bringing back specific incidents into my awareness to pull me back into that energy of fear. But instead of becoming fixated on the possibility that someone else's intentions were responsible, I made a conscious decision. I decided to fully anchor myself in my power and view these circumstances not as a curse, not as somebody trying to manipulate the energies, not as anything other than a blessing. I used it as a chance to reframe these memories so that they no longer held any emotional charge. No fear, no anxiety, nothing, just neutrality. And as I worked through these memories, I could feel, I could sense something really remarkable happening. The more I confronted them with this new perspective and the new tools in my toolbox, the more the power of them over me diminished. What once felt like a looming shadow in my life now feels like a faint echo. It's still there, I still have the memory, but it doesn't affect me, it doesn't define me. And this experience was a profound reminder that I had and used the power to change the narrative of my life. And so do you. You have the power to change the narrative of your life. We can choose how we remember, how we perceive, and ultimately how we grow from past experiences. Now, there was another area that came up within the retrograde. It brought into focus family dynamics, and this is something that many of us can relate to. Family is a complex web of love, history, and sometimes, most of the time, a level of dysfunction. And as spiritual beings, it's not uncommon to feel like we are the black sheep of the family. I've often found myself in this role, dipping in and out of family gatherings, trying to avoid triggering others or getting entangled in their unhealed wounds. It's a minefield, and it's a minefield that we walk and dodge, or try to dodge the mines as we walk the field, because they're family and we love them. But this retrograde, the universe had different plans for me, and I suspect probably different plans for you. There seemed to be a cosmic conspiracy at play for me in my life, pushing me into more family gatherings than usual. And let me tell you, it wasn't always easy. There were moments when I felt myself becoming impassioned, that my voice was rising, and even the language that I was using becoming forceful. And that wasn't something I was proud of. It was something that I took note of, and it wasn't who I wanted to be. But I had to also recognize it was a learnt defense mechanism coming into play, a way of protecting myself in those situations where I felt vulnerable, I felt misunderstood, I felt I needed to fight my corner. There were programs and patterns, and it doesn't matter how much work you do, there is always more to do. It's recognizing that within yourself, it's understanding, it's being consciously aware of what's going on. And this retrograde really brought that into focus for me, and it really gave me an opportunity to practice, one, what I preach, and two, what I've learned, what I've been embodying, especially this past year, the tools that I've been bringing into play and have been functioning with. And it's easy to function when we're in a controlled environment with those new paradigms, with those new skills. It's very different using and bringing those into old paradigms where there is level of dysfunction, and in those levels of dysfunction there is patterning, there is habitual actions and reactions. And so it was really valuable time for me. Was it challenging? As I said before, yes, it was. And it did feel like a cosmic conspiracy. Like, oh, Lord, why are you doing this to me? But when we allow ourselves to flow with it, when we step into that, okay, that comes to our table is only something that we are ready to deal with. When we can get ourselves into that mindset and we allow ourselves to flow. It was a very learned experience for me. It allowed me to see where I still get triggered. It allowed me to see where I still felt overly vulnerable. It allowed me to gain lots of knowledge as to what is working, what needs work on. But it also allowed me to stand up for myself without it being a defense mechanism. It allowed me to step into that empowerment and assert myself in a positive way, to acknowledge my limits within those dynamics, and to again assert myself, assert my boundaries without being dominant in doing so. And it is a process. And during these gatherings, I had to give myself credit for recognizing when I had had enough. I was able to practice the okay to say, I've hit my social limit. And to step back when I needed to, without any guilt, without any shame, without any blame. And it's okay to refuse to be pulled into the habitual chaos and drama that often plays out during family settings, during family celebrations, gatherings. And I was able to go, that's not mine, that doesn't belong to me. Without people feeling that I was being blasé. I was just saying that doesn't belong to me. I'm sorry, I really feel for you. I'm here for you if you need me, but I'm not being drawn into that. It's not mine, it doesn't belong to me. And it's okay to walk away when you need to. To abandon a situation that people are trying to pull you into, but you absolutely know, you can feel it has nothing to do with you. It's not your situation. And again, you can say, I'm here, I will support you, but that is not my situation. I am not stepping onto that platform with you. I will hold space for you. But it's not mine and I'm not taking it. And these are all the lessons that we've all been learning as we are on the soul sovereignty journey. But it's one thing learning the lesson. It's one thing having these tools in these toolbox. It's another putting it into practice with people that we love. That's what the retrograde brought me this time round. It was very full on retrograde, and there was lots in there, but it was lots of blessings. It was lots of blessings. And I do know that a lot of people struggled this time round. But I encourage you to see the blessings in those struggles, in those challenges. It's a crucial part of your spiritual and emotional well-being. And as I reflected on all of these experiences that were coming in and I was being bombarded with, I realised something very important. I realised while there's always more work to do, there's also so much progress to celebrate. I was able to see, that was the gift I was given, how far I've personally come, how much stronger I personally have become in setting those boundaries and protecting those boundaries and my energy. And I want to encourage you to do the same. What were those blessings? What are the things that you can celebrate from this past retrograde? Take a moment to reflect on the past few weeks, and to make 2 lists. One for the areas where you feel there's room for improvement. As I said, my own experience, there were times where I felt overly vulnerable and uncomfortable in that. There were times when my voice started to rise. So one list of the areas where you feel there's room for improvement, and another list to celebrate your wins. These can be small victories, like saying no when you need to, or they could be larger ones, like confronting a past fear and fully releasing its hold on you. Reflection is such a powerful tool of growth, for growth. It's not about beating yourself up for where you were not perfect. It's about acknowledging your progress, no matter how small, and setting intentions for where you want to go next. When we take the time to reflect, we can see the patterns in our lives more clearly. We can identify the lessons we're being asked to learn, and we get to decide how we want to move forward, which is the most important aspect here. How are we showing up for ourselves, and how do we want to move forward? Diving a bit deeper into the idea of reframing memories, because this is where the real alchemy happens. Memories are not static, they're fluid, shaped by our emotions, by our perceptions, and the stories we tell ourselves. When a challenging memory resurfaces, it is an opportunity to rewrite that story. It's a chance to look at the experience from a higher perspective, to understand it with greater wisdom, the wisdom that you have now, and to let go of the emotional charge that is held within the old memory. That's the reframing that we do, is we release that emotional charge and we look at it with greater wisdom and a higher perspective. Think about a memory that has been haunting you. Perhaps one that resurfaced during the retrograde. Now imagine viewing it from a distance, as if you're watching it on a screen. What do you notice? How is your body feeling? What emotions are coming up? And most importantly, how can you change the narrative? Instead of seeing yourself as a victim in that experience, what if you viewed yourself as the hero of the story? Someone who faced a challenge and grew stronger because of it. And let's be clear here, reframing is not about denying the pain or pretending it didn't happen. It's about acknowledging it, understanding it, and then choosing a new way to relate to it. When you do this, you reclaim your power. You're no longer at the mercy of your past. You're no longer at the mercy of the pain of the memories. You're the author of your story. And you get to decide how it ends. This process isn't easy. I'm not going to pretend it is. It takes practice, but it's incredibly liberating. It allows you to break free from old patterns and step into a new way of being. As we move forward from this retrograde, I want to encourage you to take some time for deep reflection. Look back at the lessons that resurfaced for you. What old patterns came up? What memories or experiences were you invited to revisit? What was your initial reaction when that memory popped into your head? Was it one of fear? Was it one of trepidation? Was it one of anxiety? What was going on the moment it resurfaced? And then what did you do with it? How can you use that memory this time to reframe what you experienced then, what you experienced recently, and what you choose to experience moving forward? The experiences that you want to have that empowers you. Remember, the universe is always guiding you towards growth and evolution. Even the most challenging experiences are opportunities in disguise. That is why I never shy away from a retrograde. Retrograde is a beautiful space and place in time on the cycle that allows us to revisit what we need to revisit. It shows us aspects of ourselves, aspects of our experiences that are disempowering us, and it gives us the opportunity to call back that power. So as we move through the post-retrograde energies, give yourself permission to reflect, to celebrate your progress, and to set intentions for the next phase of your journey. You are more powerful than you realize. You have the ability to transform your life in profound ways. Trust the process, trust yourself, and know that you are exactly where you need to be. Thank you for joining me today on yet another reflective journey. Reflection is the key on this process of soul sovereignty. If this episode has resonated with you, I invite you to share it with someone who might need to hear it. And as always, stay connected, stay grounded, and keep shining your beautiful, beautiful, unique light. Until next time, you have been listening to Spiritual Midwife, who is signing off. Remember, you are the author of your own story, and the pen is always in your hand. Blessings to you all.